Hello, everyone. Thank you, Jenny. Um, Today, I would like to talk about how to improve code readability with Kotlin. So first, I would like to say that I started to learn Kotlin about 2 years ago, and it took me for a while to understand how to use Kotlin new features. Like I did a lot of mistakes, so I would like to share it. Maybe you could learn from my mistakes. Before we start, let's remember what clean code is. And it sounds obvious for us. Clean code could be readable, intuitive, simple, easy to understand, without much syntactic noise. And like we all know, Robert Martin's popular book, Clean Code. And the first rule of clean code is like functions should be small. Rule 2, function should be smaller than that. According to this function, should be small, and they should do only one thing. And we should extract subroutines and give them descriptive names. This way, our code becomes like a story, so we can read it and understand it. These rules doesn't depend on language, but as we can see here, to create small functions in Java, it's sometimes difficult. And like here in our method parse response, it is parsing the HTTP response and show an exception if there is any. But however, you can see in Kotlin that it's taking like less code, and it's only 6-row code. I believe that even if you don't know how Kotlin syntax and all these features written here, the code is very easy to understand and intuitive. And being able to understand the code without knowing every feature means that the code is definitely like clean code. Second thing that we can talk about is flow control structures. And in Kotlin, flow control structures are expressions and no statements. We already saw the when expressions, and but there is also like if else try catch expressions in Kotlin. In Java, we have to declare the variable season before the try catch, but here we can use it in this way, as you can see here. And using Kotlin's try expression, we can save some code and some space, and it makes a season variable immutable. Another cool feature is a single expression function. If a function contains only single expression, we can leave out a curly braces and the return type. As you can see here, the message. And the single expression function is much more compact, and the essential logic here is revealed immediately due to reduced syntax noise. As we see, Kotlin's expression support allow us to combine control structures with other expressions concisely. When I see all these features first time 2 years ago, like I was so excited, and I tried to use it everywhere. But as you can see, in next slide, sometimes it's not really not good, and this code is not readable. It's not intuitive. And if second thing that in Kotlin is good, it's utilizing immutability, and it feels natural. For example, in Java, if it's our usual set and the get, but in Kotlin we can just use var. If we are using val, which means immutable in Java, it means like we have only get method and we don't have any set. And this idiomatic way of creating a list in Kotlin is a method list of. This creates read-only list, so you can't add any elements to it. Note that Kotlin's collections are not immutable because they based on Java's mutable collection for interoperability reasons. But in practice, this is good enough most of the times, because like usually when we are using in applications, we don't do a lot of changes. We usually parse some JSON and keep it, in Android applications. Another good thing is to create immutable data structures in Kotlin with data classes. In fact, this is a killer feature in Kotlin because in Java now we had to use getters, setters, hashcode, equals to string, but in Kotlin it takes only this one-line code, and we can just use copy to just copy this immutable data to do some changes. The null-aware types of Kotlin is like another killer thing because it's totally different than Kotlin. First of all, compilers will know that type of variable, and we will know that if it's nullable, it can be null, and sometimes if it's non-nullable, we cannot assign to each other, and it will give some compile error. And for example, I use this feature a lot when we are using data for API or very sensitive data, which shouldn't be changed further in the system. And when we are using nullability, first of all, I used this double exclamation symbol, and I was sure that because this types it's nullable, we can just avoid it, but it's not good practice, and I learned it in hard way. In another way, we can write it in this way, it's like user if null, if it doesn't null, and we can just smart cast it. But the best thing I've learned is like always operator, that either variable is null, or we can just throw argument exception, or we can just put the default argument here. Second thing that we can talk about is lazy evaluation, which is we don't have in Java, which is like late init variable that a lot first of the time when I use this late init keywords, I use it a lot because I was thinking like if we are using this lazy evaluation, we don't take a lot of space, and before to use this one, we had to be sure that call this is initialized or not, because it causes a lot of problems. Then before using this late init keyword, I think we need to know, do we need to really use this lazy evaluation? So another very interesting thing is like feature overloaded, where I want to use all these Kotlin cool features in one place. For example, this code. Or we can do it in another better way, which is much readable, and it makes sense. Another example is like when I declared a nullable variable and check it in if else. But first example, it's not working as for compiler. It doesn't see it's null or not null. But the second example, we can see that first of all, it's much readable and more concise if comparing with the first one. By conclusion, we can say that Kotlin new features helps to increase readability, and it makes much less syntaxis noise, and we can know that it's increased safetiness. But of course, we need to use it in smart way. Sometimes if we are using like feature overloading or feature accession, so we can use it in unsmart way. So it will make the code, smart code, clean code, much harder to read. Thank you.
We have one from Hassan.
Okay.
So yeah, he's asking if you could recommend some resources to learn Kotlin for non-Android developers.
Yeah, there is very good online courses in Coursera, Udemy, and Udacity, which is like Kotlin for Swift developers, Kotlin for Java developers, I think these courses are super good for starting.
Then we also have one. I'm not sure this is a question for which slide. Sai Pradeep is asking, is variable necessary?
I'm not understanding which slides. Maybe I will write later.
Okay, no worries. So Kira will pop into the live chat later to help answer some questions as well. And then also during our registration, we actually managed to collect some questions that were asked by the audience. So here's one. They would like to know if apps built on Kotlin are more performance-oriented or security-oriented. So maybe you can elaborate a bit on that, Kira.
Like if we are talking about Android application, right now all these latest libraries, latest features, everything is written in Kotlin, and it's officially supported by Google. I think it's good to use Kotlin for Android applications, but about like performance and security, I can't say that because we are still working on JVM, and there are a lot of frameworks which is not depending on the language.
This is also one more. They are asking, what are the best practices available for Kotlin, which is not available in Android?
I think this question is like, Android is like totally systems that different system OS that we write for Android in Kotlin. So Kotlin design patterns are different and the Android patterns are different. We can't compare it together.